Facing scrutiny over both his use of the Signal app to share sensitive information back in March and the more recent controversial strike in the waters off Venezuela. Erica Brown has the latest from Capitol Hill, where top military officials briefed lawmakers on that strike.
Do you accept responsibility for the incident, sir?
Navy Admiral Frank Bradley and Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Dan Kane went to Capitol Hill Thursday to brief select lawmakers and show them video of a second strike on an alleged Venezuelan drug boat behind closed doors.
What I saw in that room was one of the most troubling things I've seen in my time in public service. You have two individuals in clear distress with a destroyed vessel who were killed by the United States.
While some question the legality of firing on shipwreck survivors, other lawmakers say the video shows the strike was lawful.
I saw two survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs bound for the United States back over so they could stay in the fight.
Lawmakers also said Admiral Bradley told them there had not been an order to kill them all. That contradicts Washington Post reporting, quoting an anonymous source, saying before the first strike, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ordered that no one be spared.
Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat.
Secretary Hegseth's leadership is also under scrutiny following a Pentagon Inspector General report about his decision to share information about a U.S. bombing mission on an unsecure messaging app. The Pentagon's internal watchdog concluded that Hegseth's actions in March created a risk to operational security that could have resulted in failed U.S. mission objectives and potential harm to U.S. pilots, although it also noted that Hegseth has the authority to declassify information. Erica Brown, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Here at home, happening today, sentencing for a Makaha shooting case that killed a 17-year-old back in 2023. 18-year-old Branston Medeiros pleaded guilty to manslaughter and gun crimes back in August. Witnesses had told police he shot Miguel Agu Jr. after he refused to shake his hand after an argument. Medeiros was 16 at the time and was later charged as an adult, but his attorney now plans to request young adult sentencing, which can combine jail time with rehabilitation. A Kauai man learns his fate for a deadly shooting that led to a manhunt. Ben Gutierrez spoke to the victim's sister, who says his killer is a coward.
Chris Santos was the subject of a 10-day manhunt after the fatal shooting in Koloa in 2023, putting the victim's family and the rest of Kauai on edge until he was finally captured. Chris Santos was originally charged with second-degree murder in the shooting death of 28-year-old Keith Silver Lockrow in September 2023. But in a deal with prosecutors, Santos pleaded guilty to the lesser charge of manslaughter with a 20-year term.
There's nothing that would ever be enough for his sentencing because it will never bring my brother back.
Silva Lacros' sister says Santos showed no remorse at his sentencing, but she's glad it's done. After the shooting 2 years ago, Santos was tracked by more than 100 Kauai police officers, deputy U.S. Marshals, and FBI agents. They knew he had 5 prior felony convictions and a history of eluding capture. Santos was finally taken into custody in Makaha in a stolen Jeep with 2 rifles, and authorities shot him once as he tried to flee by driving toward officers.
His actions was cowardly. He was a coward to do what he did to my brother, and that he murdered my only brother.
Santos also pleaded guilty to first-degree attempted assault on a law enforcement officer, first-degree assault, and firearms charges. Kauai County Prosecutor Rebecca Leakey said in a statement that the plea agreement was reached after extensive analysis and several conversations with those affected by the incident, and that it was appropriate and provided a measure of closure to survivors and loved ones.
I don't like to backseat drive cases where I'm not too familiar with the facts, but I am surprised by this plea agreement.
Attorney Megan Cow says a plea agreement is often reached to avoid the uncertainty of a trial and saves victims from having to relive the crime by testifying. However, she notes that Santos's prior record and his attempts to evade capture would normally lead to a longer sentence.
I'm speculating that there must have been something wrong, meaning that there was either an issue with evidence or a witness, and that's why the government offered this plea agreement.
Silva Lacros' sister believes that may be the case, especially for those who may have helped Santos try to escape the law.
I feel that everybody that was involved should have some kind of sentence to face or some kind of justice, but I don't know. I guess they all have the criminal lifestyle and nobody will talk.
Santos also received 10 years each for first-degree assault and the 2 firearms charges, along with a 5-year term for attempted assault on a law enforcement officer. They will be served concurrently with a manslaughter sentence. Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Ben. The Hawaii Island man accused of driving over and killing another man after a dispute in Hilo last month is expected back in court today. 70-year-old Robert Bradshaw made his last court appearance from a hospital bed. Police records claim he drove his van over 64-year-old Edward Mendez, dragging his body and then leaving the scene. Police say the two had gotten into a physical fight after Bradshaw allegedly threatened Mendez with a knife. Bradshaw is held on $1 million bail. The city will give $1 million in taxpayer money to the family of a teen who was killed by police after a crime spree back in 2021. Chief investigative reporter Lynn Kawano explains why this settlement had the support of the city.
It was clear council members were not happy about this deal, and neither is the police union. April 5th, 2021.
Stop the vehicle!
3 Honolulu police officers chased a stolen car with armed robbery suspects through East Honolulu before a confrontation in Makaha. 16-year-old I Remember Sycap was shot and killed. Family members filed a civil lawsuit, and Wednesday, council members approved a $1 million settlement.
I am opposed to settling this because a crime was committed and the officers were attacked.
I understand why many are frustrated. It's a hard pill to swallow, especially when the case has raised serious concerns about repeat offenders and the strain they place on public safety in our communities.
But the city attorney said a settlement was necessary to avoid a civil trial and keep the officers from testifying.
Any statements that they make in a civil proceeding could be used against them in a future prosecution for murder.
The Honolulu prosecutor's office tried but failed to prosecute the 3 officers who had overwhelming support from the public.
I think the facts show that our officers acted lawfully to protect themselves and the public from a violent multi-day crime spree. They were attempting to arrest a crew that had just carried out a home invasion robbery, adding to a list of armed robberies. The fact of the matter is that you have to look at it for what you can do in court with what the judge allows you to do.
Now that the council approved the deal, the city attorneys can finalize it. Then it will be paid out. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Thank you, Lynn. Police and consumer advocates are warning the public about a new holiday scam. Crypto kiosks are popping up at gas stations and malls across the state, making it easy for people to turn cash into digital currency. But the FBI says reports of scams involving the machines doubled last year from the previous year, totaling almost $250 million in losses. Hawaii received 68 complaints and nearly $1 million in losses. Consumer advocates say that number is likely underreported.
What I'm worried about is the kapuno who goes over, doesn't know what Bitcoin even is, and is feeding tens of thousands of dollars of cash into an ATM to buy cryptocurrency to put in someone else's wallet.
You should still call 911 and we can still help you out.
Okay.
Yeah. Even though you may not get the money back, at least let us or give us the information. Maybe we can help stop somebody else from being scammed.
AARP is holding a town hall to discuss ways to protect yourself from holiday fraud. That's happening next week, Saturday, December 13th at 9 a.m. Look for more details on our website, hawaiinewsnow.com.
All right, well, happy Thursday, everybody. Again, the last couple of days, we've been watching this cold front that's off towards our northwest. This is moving away from us. We're really not going to be seeing a ton of rainfall out there today. It's pretty quiet over on the Garden Isle this afternoon. We saw some showers over there earlier yesterday. As we're going forward throughout the rest of this afternoon, the main thing that we're going to be tracking is a few windward showers in the overnight, really focused over the eastern half of the state early Friday morning. And then we're going to be drying out as we're going into Saturday and Sunday. Alongside that, we're tracking blocking all of that energy coming in from the northwest. We've got a swell that's triggered a high surf advisory on several north and west facing shores. I'll give you a look at our surf and shoreline forecast coming right up.
Thank you, Drew. A historic public-private partnership will help improve healthcare access on Hawaii Island. Raquel Kahlo has more on the big announcement.
This collaboration is aimed at bringing more care and more providers closer to home to Hawaii Island families.
The people on the Big Island have wanted a new hospital for quite some time. It will be transformative. It will bring so much more health care to Big Island that people will immediately see a change in their lives.
The new public-private partnership will expand healthcare access on Hawaii Island. It includes a brand new outpatient care facility to be built alongside the upcoming Queen's Hospital in Kailua Kona.
Initially, we project that there'll be 350 to 450 new jobs.
Depending on which part of where you draw the map, you might have 60 or 70,000 people living in West Hawaii. The hospitals combined already are employing 700 people.
The next step is securing funding from the legislator. Once approved, the project is expected to take about 4 years to complete, including infrastructure and site development.
We are in the final stages of selecting our architect. Once the architect is selected, then we start doing site planning. Our board has approved the funding of the design documents, and then we can start to break ground. But we'll plan to build these things at the same time, and the goal is to have the first patient cared for in the 5th year.
And they've already expanded infrastructure and highway there. Overall, they are accelerating the ability for patients to get the kind of care they need in West Hawaii.
The site in Kailua Kona is central and convenient, making it much easier for residents across the region to get to their appointments. With its size and potential, it also gives us room to grow as our community grows.
Raquel Kahlo, Hawaii News Now.
The Honolulu Rail Authority will pay $41 million in a land condemnation settlement for future skyline expansions in Kaka'ako. That's according to an article by Honolulu Civil Beat. The settlement dates back to a 2018 lawsuit filed by the city to win easements from Victoria Ward Limited. Now, it's unclear whether the rail line will ever extend to that area. The city currently has enough funding to reach downtown. Meanwhile, we have new numbers for Skyline ridership. Ridership remained up in November with an average of more than 10,500 passengers each week, according to data from the city. Only about 4,400 weekly passengers took the rail before the new segment opened. Passengers can now ride from East Kapolei all the way to Middle Street instead of just to Aloha Stadium. Ahead on This Is Now, President Trump's immigration crackdown expands to 2 more major U.S. cities, how local governments are responding. Plus, with the growing popularity of those weight loss drugs, trials are underway to see if the medication works on overweight pets. We'll explain in 2 minutes. Welcome back. The state has filed a lawsuit against TikTok's parent company, ByteDance. It accuses the platform of using addictive, deceptive practices that harm children by fueling anxiety and compulsive use of the app, and compares TikTok's features to tactics used in gambling that keep people coming back. The lawsuit seeks to stop TikTok's alleged harmful practices and force new protections for children using the platform. President Trump's immigration crackdown has spread to 2 more major American cities. One of them is New Orleans, where federal agents stormed places like Home Depot and Lowe's that are known to attract migrants trying to find work. Katie Weiss has the details.
Federal agents fanned out across the New Orleans metropolitan area Wednesday. Social media showed them arresting people in a Home Depot parking lot and outside a gas station next to a Lowe's home improvement store. Multiple people captured the moment they targeted workers on the roof of what appeared to be a residential home. After several law enforcement vehicles stopped in front of that house, the men on the roof can be seen quickly pulling up their ladder as armed agents surrounded the property. During our coverage of the operation Wednesday, we ran into Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino.
How many people did you detain today?
Still counting. A lot and still counting.
He has become one of the faces of the Trump administration's nationwide immigration crackdown after similar controversial large-scale arrests in other cities, including Los Angeles, Chicago, and Charlotte.
We've got several hundred agents spread across the New Orleans area, so not just us, so we've got a lot.
Protesters have shouted their opposition in the city over the past several days. As community members say, some immigrants have been too afraid to leave their house this week for work or even grocery shopping.
People are just really scared. Regardless of what their immigration status is, they're worried about people being arrested. I've gotten calls from teachers who are worried because their students don't want to show up to school.
The city of New Orleans has responded to the operation by setting up an online portal where residents can submit their complaints of potential abuse by federal immigration officers. I'm Katie Weiss, CBS News, New Orleans.
The popularity of GLP-1 weight loss drugs is taking the turn to our pets. Researchers are now testing them a real major scientific clinical trial to see if those same drugs can help pets lose weight. Ashur Qureshi has a look at how implants may soon get America's fat cats to slim down.
I'm just gonna let him break it. Savannah Tilking's 10-year-old cat Runkle is sweet, sassy, and loves to eat.
How much does Runkle weigh?
Last time I weighed him, he weighed 21 pounds.
And he doesn't love anything involving physical activity.
He spends most of his days sleeping.
He's a lounger.
He's a lounger.
And Runkle is far from alone. Experts say roughly 6 in 10 cats in the U.S. are carrying too much weight.
In veterinary medicine for the last 100 years, the only prescription we had was feed less, exercise more, and that just doesn't work for all types of obesity.
Dr. Ernie Ward, a top pet obesity expert, says vets may be entering a new frontier, using GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic to treat obese cats. San Francisco-based Okava Pharmaceuticals just launched Meow 1, a clinical study that will utilize a tiny under-the-skin implant in 50 cats to release a GLP-1 medication drug over 6 months. Dr. Ward says the benefits could go well beyond weight loss, pointing to human data that shows improvement in diabetes risk and long-term health.
And that's why we're so excited, because when we look at, especially in cats, one of the biggest health threats is obesity and then diabetes.
And what's the biggest unknown that still keeps you cautious?
The first, of course, is efficacy. Does it work safely? The second are the side effects. And then the third is the cost.
Okava says it's aiming for about $100 a month. Results from the Meow 1 trial are expected next summer, with the company seeking FDA approval for cat use in the next 2 years, with dogs not far behind.
So I think that if my vet came to me and was like, he's diabetic, we've tried everything else, we should consider that, then most definitely.
If it works, chunky cats like Runkle could get their own Ozempet moment. Ashur Qureshi, CBS News.
And stick around. Coming up after the break, we've got your full First Alert forecast. The details just ahead.
weather with Drew Davis.
Happy Thursday, everybody. We're almost to Aloha Friday and the weekend, and it's looking to be a pretty nice weekend out there. Here's what we're tracking in our first alert weather forecast out there. We've got a high surf advisory out on north and west facing shores, a coastal flood alert for some higher than average high tides, and also the trade winds building in. They're still a little bit southeasterly out there right now, but they're going to get more easterly as we're going forward throughout Thursday and Friday. Let's take a look at the actual alerts that we have up. A high surf advisory for north and west facing shores until 6 p.m. on Friday. Right now, that's for Kauai, Oahu, Molokai, and the north facing shores of Maui. Really, that doesn't include the Hawaii Island. And you can take a look at the actual numbers. Our surf and shoreline forecast for north facing shores around 10 to 14 feet, 7 to 10 feet on west facing shores for this afternoon, rising out there on east facing shores as the trade winds are getting stronger this afternoon. You can also see in our swell forecast that energy is going to be moving across the state. Another swell is moving in Friday, and another northwest swell is expected to move in as we're going into Monday and Tuesday of next week, likely triggering high surf advisories once again. Our coastal flood statement that we have up from the National Weather Service alongside a small craft advisory over the eastern half of the state. That's going to continue through Saturday morning. Some isolated coastal flooding in low-lying areas is possible due to higher than average high tides. Our winds outside right now, you can see overall southeasterly flow, and we're going to start to see these get more easterly as we're going into this afternoon and Friday afternoon. So you can see as we're going into Friday, this is around 5 p.m. between 10 to 15 miles per hour, a little bit breezier over in Kahului, around 17 miles per hour. Winds variable over in Kailua Kona, but overall coming out of the west and southwest. East and southeasterly is possible over in Hilo, but overall breezy trade winds are expected to return as we're going into the weekend. And also going forward in our first alert futurecast, the main thing we're watching, chance for rainfall out there will be windward showers in the overnight to early morning hours. That's when we'll be seeing the best chance for rainfall out there. Really not seeing a ton of rainfall, but again, a few sprinkles possible over windward areas. Maybe as we're going into early Friday morning, a better chance for rainfall over windward Maui and windward Hawaii Island. Taking a look at our 7-day forecast, sunny, a little bit hazy out there this afternoon. Still seeing some fog with the southeasterly winds that we're seeing right now. Those get more easterly going into the afternoon. A very nice weekend expected as we're going into Saturday and Sunday. We're already tracking the next weather maker as another disturbance could be moving in as we're going into the middle of next week.
Thank you, Drew. Still to come, an unexpected visitor stops by a New Zealand bar for happy hour. That story in 2 minutes. Time for some good news now. Some Some are enjoying the Arctic blast hitting much of the country. Check out this red panda at a New York zoo, which was loving the season's first big snowfall this week. The zoo says red pandas thrive in cold weather and are most active this time of year. Nearly 6 inches of snow fell in the area. Well, the holidays can be a stressful time, apparently, for animals, too.
And I'm sure you've seen this viral video of the raccoon that raided a liquor store and passed out in a bathroom. Well, we're also going to take a look at the this is the baby seal walking into the bar. We'll check this out. It walked into a craft beer bar, waddling in the front door like it owned the place. Patrons in New Zealand tried to usher it out using a sweater, but the flippered guest hid under tables in the bathroom and under the dishwasher.
Everyone thought it was a dog at first because we're a dog-friendly establishment. And then I did a double take and I was like, oh my gosh, that's a seal. What's going on?
Clever coaxing with a bit of the daily salmon special allowed rangers to safely take the pint-sized patron back to nature. As for the pub, locals say it earned an official, get this, seal of approval. All right.
It is a tough time for everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like that seal right now. I want to waddle into the bar.
Thanks, everybody.